Welcome to another Car Thoughts episode. I haven't done one of these in a while. I am getting ready to start back to school, and I know many of you have already started, but I am so freaking jazzed, you guys. I am so excited to start a school year normal for the first time. I had one of my first voice lessons of the year with one of my seniors who's been in my studio since 9th grade, which, it's what's so surreal is for her, this is the first normal start of a school year since her freshman year, which of course didn't finish at all, like we finished online. Her first contest, her vocal solo and ensemble contest, was sung into a computer after we'd been working in person all year, and then everything gets shut down in March, and she has to complete that project by locking herself in her room and turning on her webcam. Completely, it's surreal to think back over the last really 4 school years, because now we're looking at what is the 4th school year in this pandemic hellscape that we've been engaged in. And so I'm so excited to start this school year. It's been a while since I felt this excited. Well, it's been 4 years since my current seniors were freshmen. Was the last time an August was rolling around where I was excited about choosing repertoire, excited about the learning process, excited about focusing on that instead of the inevitable and unavoidable hurdles and triage and crisis management and all of the things that I knew my job was going to be the last couple of years. Of course, we're facing this massive teacher shortage right now around the country, all over the place. And I've got these kids in our program that I am just so proud of, several of them that want to be teachers. After all this, they've seen what it's been like. They've seen, they see the same stuff on social media about all the teachers are quitting and there's a teacher shortage and all this kind of stuff. And I've got all these kids that still want to be teachers because they understand how meaningful school, when it's been there for them over this last couple of years, how big of a deal that is. Like, kids love to grow up saying that they hate school, but they know. There's especially my older kids that they've been through the program now through this pandemic obstacle course of trials and tribulations, and it's easy to say that you hate school. Everybody hates school while they're actually doing the hard part, but we've got a chance to experience what it was like to have that connection and have that routine and have that opportunity for growth and challenge ripped away from us. So this school year, I'm going to challenge everybody. I'm going to challenge everybody to figure out a way, regardless of the strife, regardless of the stresses of the job that feel new, to figure out a way to love it. And that's not someone else's job. That's your job. Figure out how to love it, because your kids, your students, deserve a first day of school that's exciting. They won't have a first day of school that's exciting unless you bring the jazz. You got to bring the funk, if you know what I'm talking about, on that first day of school. And that is something that kids have been missing. They just don't know enough to articulate it because they haven't experienced this before, right? So they're not old enough to compare. I'm not talking about high school kids, but this has got to be true for college kids too over the last few years. This is their only high school experience. This is their only college experience. For those of us who are teachers at those levels, middle school, if you're a middle school teacher, you've been through several cycles of middle school kids. For the kids that come into our programs, middle school, high school, college, this is their one and only for most of them. So they don't have anything to compare it to, right? We are the gatekeepers. We are the guardians of that experience. This year we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to show some kids that really have missed out. I'm thinking now again of my upcoming senior class. They have really missed out on normal. And of course, more and more of the scientific consensus is coming out, which is that Closing schools was the wrong decision, and that the harms have vastly outweighed the gains. That science is being done, those studies are being done, and it's just all coming back the same way. We screwed these kids. We have an opportunity, though, to make it up to them, which is to provide high-level, high-quality education, but also enriching, life-affirming, connected education, which I think we can do now even better than we did before, because we as teachers also have been traumatized over the last few years. We are now more empathetic. We are now more connected. We are now more appreciative of this normal, or we should be. We are now more appreciative of this normal that we get to go back to. We get to start a school year without masks. I think 3% of the largest school districts in the country are going back to school with masks. If you are in one of them, my heart breaks for you, because you won't get to see your students still. Okay, but it's 3% or less. Of course, the CDC just today relaxed their recommendations of how careful we should be all the time about COVID. So that 3% is probably going to fall. We get to go back to a normal school year. We cannot miss this opportunity. We talked a lot about how we'll just never go back to normal. Bullshit! Go back to the normal, the good parts of normal, which is, like I said, a high-quality experience. I'm excited for it. My kids are excited for it. I got to pick out repertoire today and send it to my students for our choir retreat that's coming up. This just feels so good. Got to go on vacation this summer and leave school behind, which for teachers, that's of course super important. We all know that. And now I'm ready. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to come back and show my students the me from before all of this. Okay, I had less gray hair then, like a lot less, but that doesn't mean that I can't still bring it. So what if that was everyone's attitude? I think we would see that teacher shortage shrink real fast. All right, thanks everybody. Have fun. So July saw another month of unprecedented growth on the Patreon. Patreon.com/Coralosophy is a place where for as little as $3 a month, you can support the show. You can also get access to my Google folder of goodies. You can get access to full-length episodes. You can get access to behind-the-scenes episodes and so much more. So head on over there and subscribe today. The producer-level sponsors at Patreon are Brannigan Lawrence, Chandler Smith, Venture Studios, John Warner, Ulrika Igrain Munoz Alarcon, Angie Schilling, David Kowalczyk, James Mock, Jared Hendricks, Jeff Wall, Kyle Peterson, Michael Herron, Nathan Hines, Ryan Main, and Stephen Kathy Kakachik. Are you looking for travel opportunities next year? You've got to be. It's a wonderful opportunity to sign up and go over to dciny.org and get scheduled and get on board with one of their many concert offerings. You want to work with Oli Yalo or Eric Whitaker, Bradley Ellingbo and Tony Silvestri have a program for DCINY. It's a blockbuster season for them, and I'm sure you're going to want to be involved. They're wonderful to work with. Give them a shot. School is starting, or it's already started, so make sure you get your Sight Reading Factory memberships going. SightReadingFactory.com. Put Coralosophy at checkout. Once you've got your membership and all of your students' memberships in the checkout page, enter Coralosophy. It'll knock 10% off every time you use that code. So I recently did a masterclass for Jacqueline Normandy's Modern Conducting Academy. And of course, if you sign up there and get a membership for her program, you can go back and watch my masterclass. But one of the things that I talked about in that in great detail is the importance of how the school year starts to whether or not it's going to be successful. It's disproportionately important the first 2 weeks of school. In other words, you could survive 2 bad weeks of class. If they're like middle of the year. You can't survive 2 bad first weeks. The research shows that those 2 weeks at the very beginning of the school year make or break your school year. And in the choir context, what does that mean for us? Well, it kind of depends on your goals, but of course I'm going to talk in the context of a chorus class. Okay, so we're not talking about general music. We're not talking about a voice lesson per se, but this is really just focused on the choir class. And what are we trying to accomplish? Well, if you boil it all down, we're ultimately trying to create a good choir. That's what we want. Now, there's all kinds of qualifiers that could get thrown in there for what does good choir mean, and I get that. We've been over that ad nauseum on the show. But you want to make a good choir. That is, and I would argue if you don't want that, there's a problem and you should go do something else. But the kids deserve to be a good choir. All right, so they should feel competent. They should feel like they've grown over the course of the school year. By the end of the school year, your choir sound should be unrecognizable from the beginning. In other words, they should have taken such massive leaps forward that you're like, who are these kids? What is that noise you just made? And then you could play them noises from the beginning of the year, and they should be unrecognizable. That's how you know you had a successful year. If they sound the same at the end as they do at the beginning, that's a failure. That means that would be, I would argue, no different than a math teacher who gets to the end of the textbook and the kids have not proceeded from concept to concept to concept. They can still not do the original basic concepts. Then that math teacher would have failed to get that across to them for whatever reason, but it's a failure. And so if that's our overall kind of philosophy for approaching the class, like how do we approach those first 2 weeks so that we can set up a situation where the choir is more likely to be better by the end of the school year that they were at the beginning. There's a lot that goes into that. One, of course, is setting expectations and sticking to them at the very beginning of the school year. So one of the things that I'm really excited about this year is that this is the first year in in 3 years that will start like a normal year. I'm getting ready to do our chamber choir. That's our most advanced group. We have a summer retreat at the end of the summer, getting ready for the school year to start. And I'm super excited about that retreat being normal. Like, we're going to go travel on bus without masks and go to a campground and stay in hotel rooms on a campground and socialize and rehearse and go swimming and canoeing and all of the things that we did 3 or 4 years ago when we started the school year. Because one of the things that we do at that retreat is we set expectations for the year. And the way my program is structured, that chamber choir group sets the tone. They are the leaders, they are the experienced returning members, the dedicated ones. And when they go on this retreat, they get a lot of head start so that when they go into their choir class during the school day and when they interact with the other younger members of the choir program, they've really got a concept already before the school year even starts of what is this school year going to be about. And they become like the little ambassadors that go out into the student body and preach the gospel of choir. Right? Why is this such an awesome class? Why do we take this class? Why should you take this class? Hey, I'm at the top level of the choir program, but the whole choir program as a family, you should join too. My students are the best recruiters, and one of the ways that happens is by setting that tone early in the school year of this is a family, this is something that we do together, we have a tradition of excellence, here's what it means to be in this ensemble, here's what you owe to the ensemble, not what the ensemble owes to you, that we're going to think about what we bring. It's kind of like lots of conversations that are going on in churches around the world right now of are people coming to the church to see what the church can do for them, or are people going to the church to see what they can bring? Right? What is my offering? What is my contribution to this place of worship? Right? I think in a lot of ways that metaphor holds true for a choir also. If our main idea when we join a choir is what can this choir do for me? Can this choir teach me to sing so that I can be famous? Right? Stupid stuff like that. If that's our mindset, the choir will be less connected, less community driven, less active in its sense of itself. Rather, if we can convince our students right off the bat, whether this is adults too, adults and kids and everything in between, that when I join a choir, what I'm doing is I'm joining a group activity. I'm taking my individual talents and ideas, and I'm bringing them to the group, which in its very nature, that is a donation, right? What am I here to bring? And so we set that expectation at the retreat. We have lots of conversation time and group building time. And one of the things that I do is I go around the circle of everybody and I have them share one of the things that makes them feel like they're a little bit nervous about joining this ensemble, because it does have a long tradition. And this group that I lead at this school has been around for over 100 years. And that intimidates some people, intimidates some kids when they join the group. So I have them share those things. And then by sharing those things, the other students hear that, hey, not everybody, or I'm not the only one, I should say, I'm not the only one that's intimidated. I'm not the only one that feels like maybe I've got imposter syndrome by joining this group. Maybe I'm not the only one who thinks my skills aren't up to snuff. And so I think that allows them to humanize each other. And of course, while we're doing that, we're also setting musical expectations. We're setting the types of expectations that kind of give us the idea of what is it that I'm going to bring to the table, not only interpersonally, but what am I going to bring to the table musically? What does it mean to be accountable to my colleagues in my section? What does it mean to be accountable to the people that are around me? Some concrete ideas for the first day of school in that first rehearsal is sing. It is very, very important that the first day of school is dominated by singing. If that is what your class is, again, we talked about this before, assuming I'm talking to a chorus or a choir class, make singing sounds with your mouth holes for a good portion of that day, and you have to figure out a way to make it be the type of singing that will make them feel excited about their own voice and the power of their instrument. So it has to be the type of experimental idea. In fact, go back and listen to my episode with J.D. Frizzell. I think it was episode 77 or something like that, where he talks about singing without fear and creating an environment where it's just a place where we make noises. And they are noises with our mouth holes, but we are going to make noises, and it's part of our everyday routine. And ooh, look how exciting and big and interesting that can be. That has to happen on the first day of school. Because what you want is you want them to leave your class on that first day of school excited about the noises that they already made, and you've already somehow figured out how to convince them on that first day of school, like, did you hear what you just did? And that was only the first day of school, and this is your job to point this out. Right? Imagine what we could sound like in a month, or what about 3 months or 6 months? Like we're going to be able to do this for 9 months. Imagine what that could sound like by the end. And so that the way that you get there, of course, is if you know the singers, then of course you know what type of repertoire they could possibly do. If I'm in front of my large mixed advanced group, 100 voices or whatever, I can put relatively any repertoire in front of them on the first day of school, and we could read it and have it sound pretty good on the first day of school. But if I'm with beginning kids, maybe it's not repertoire at all. Maybe it's just some type of a taught by rote round, or like a 4-part harmony chord progression thing that you can teach them by rote right away, or even during their sight reading on the first day of school, because yes, they should sight read on the first day of school. It's such a simple exercise that you can get their voices sounding rich and full and supported on the first day, even if it's stupid easy. Like stupid easy. They don't know it's stupid easy. If it's your beginning kids, they're just going to be excited with the way their voice sounds if you're able to create an environment where they're able to just make noise. Okay? And so that could be a lot of call and response, a lot of improvisation, those types of things. I think that's, again, really, really important. And if you only have a few minutes to get to things like your syllabus and classroom expectations, that's fine. Because ultimately your classroom management problems are going to go away anyway if they've bought into the noises that they're making, if they believe and are excited in the power of the noises that they're making. So of all the priorities on the first day of school, that's just got to be at the top of the list. Like, I don't feel like I have time. There's so many things that I have to do on the first day of school. I don't know if I have time to lead a rehearsal. No, you have to. Like, all the other things are secondary. Okay, so that's just some thoughts. Now, in the second, third, fourth day, right? So that first week of school, then I'm thinking a little bit broader. Like there's got to be singing, and it's part of every day. But then I'm also working in over the course of those other days some time to get to know the kids, some time for them to get to know me, bringing in a slideshow of my family, or telling them about my hobbies and asking them their hobbies. Those types of things, you make time for those as well. So one of the things that we do is going around the room in our advanced group. We go around the room and ask everyone to stand up and sing by themselves, just scales, to the top of their. I didn't want to blast out the mic. Sorry about that wimpy singing. But we'll ask them to sing some scales, maybe some arpeggios, just something vocal warm up, very simple, something that they're not going to have to stress about being prepared for. It's just vocalization. And then, so after they sing, then they say their name and where, like something they did over the summer that was fun. And it's a way for them to rip off that Band-Aid of singing in front of each other. Because right away, at the very beginning of the year, they don't even have time to think about how it's scary. It's just